You know that moment. You're in the middle of an argument, and for once, you are actually ready. You've collected your thoughts. You know exactly what you want to say. There's heat in your chest, clarity in your mind, and you finally feel strong enough to stand your ground. Then it happens. Your throat tightens. Your eyes start to sting. Your voice shakes. Suddenly, the anger that was giving you power turns into tears that feel like they're taking it away. You're not sad. You are furious. But the person in front of you doesn't see anger anymore. They see someone too emotional. They ask why you're crying. They tell you it's not that serious. They look at you differently. And inside, you turn on yourself. You feel childish, dramatic, weak. You think, what is wrong with me? Why can't I stay composed like everyone else? You were never told the truth about those moments. You never learned that your tears and anger are not a defect. They are not a failure of willpower. They are your nervous system running at full capacity, your biology trying to protect you, and your subconscious behavior trying desperately to keep you safe. Tonight, we decode why you cry when you're angry and what it actually takes to finally stay in control without destroying your sensitivity to do it. The secret life of the angry crier. On the outside, people see one thing, someone who can't handle conflict. But inside, what actually lives there is something much more complex. You don't cry because you don't care. You cry because you care too much. You replay arguments in your head for days. You think of better responses hours after the moment has passed. You feel the weight of every word long after other people have already moved on. This is not weakness. This is depth. Maybe this sounds familiar. You avoid confrontations because you already know your body will betray you. You let things slide. You swallow comments that bruise you. You stay quiet when you should speak. Not because you don't have anything to say, but because you're afraid the tears will show up first. In relationships, you may have heard lines like, I can't talk to you about serious things, you always end up crying. As if your tears are the problem instead of what's being said. At work, you stay silent when something is unfair because the idea of crying in front of your boss feels like social death. Here's the hidden truth. People who cry when they're angry are often the ones with the strongest internal sense of justice, the highest emotional intelligence, and the most intense nervous systems. They notice every shift, every insult, every subtle power move. Dark psychology lives in those moments when others gaslight you and say, you're overreacting, when in reality, your system is simply responding to a threat they've learned to ignore. You think you are broken because you can't keep the tears back, but you've never been taught what those tears really are, or how to work with them instead of against them. Inside the brain of someone who cries when they're mad. To understand this, we have to go beneath the story and into the wiring. This is neuroscience explained in human language. Not lab terms. When you get angry, your brain flips into a state of high arousal. Your heart rate climbs. Your breathing changes. Stress chemicals surge through your system. This is your survival brain waking up, the same part that once kept your ancestors alive when danger appeared. Your mind might feel sharp, but your body is already preparing for battle. For people who cry when angry, that system is extra reactive. It's not a flaw. It's a sensitivity setting. Sometimes it's shaped by trauma responses from earlier life, growing up around conflict, shouting, or emotional volatility. Your nervous system learned that when voices get loud or tension spikes, safety is at risk. So now, even in a modern argument with no physical danger, your body still behaves like something is on the line. It goes all in. It floods you with energy. It prepares you to fight or flee. But here's the disturbing fact. Your body also has a built-in brake system. It hates being overwhelmed. When the emotional engine runs too hot, a counter system kicks in to cool you down. That's your parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for rest, repair, and calm. When it activates in the middle of anger, the shift can feel like a brain glitch. 1 second you're ready to roar, the next you're shaking and crying. Tears, in this context, are not just sadness coming out. They are a physical release valve. They lower arousal. They soften your facial expression. They can even biologically signal to another person to reduce aggression. Your body is trying to both protect you from emotional overheating and de-escalate potential danger. And yet, because of cognitive bias, you've been trained to see only one story: crying equals weakness. So instead of thanking your body for keeping you safe, you shame it into silence. That shame is the real enemy, not the tears themselves. The hidden patterns behind angry tears. Pattern number 1. You cry when you finally feel safe enough to be honest. You hold everything in until the moment you can't anymore. Maybe it's with someone you love, or someone who has crossed your boundaries too many times. The tears show up right when you try to speak your truth, not because you're fragile, but because your whole system is saying, this matters. Pattern number 2. Your anger and hurt travel together. You rarely feel pure anger. It's almost always mixed with disappointment, feeling misunderstood, or feeling disrespected. That combination is emotionally heavy. The tears are not just rage, they're grief that arrives at the same time. Pattern number 3. You have a long emotional memory. You don't forget patterns of behavior. When someone pushes the same button again, you're not just reacting to this moment, you're reacting to a history of ignored boundaries. Your body remembers even when your mind tries to be rational. Pattern number 4. Your high empathy works against you in conflict. Even when you are angry, you are still reading the other person's face, hearing their tone, feeling their frustration. You are tracking both your pain and theirs at the same time. That double load overwhelms your system and breaks through as tears. Pattern number 5. You were punished for expressing anger growing up. Maybe crying was safer than expressing your rage. Maybe your anger was mocked, ignored, or punished, so your body found an alternative outlet. Tears became a disguised form of protest, a safer rebellion. That subconscious behavior can follow you into adulthood long after the original threat is gone. None of these patterns say, you're weak. They all say, you're highly responsive. The question is not how to shut that off, but how to aim it. How the world misreads your angry tears. Here's where dark psychology quietly creeps in. The world often leverages your tears against you. Imagine a meeting where your idea is dismissed in a condescending tone. You push back, your voice sharpens, and in seconds your eyes burn. You blink, hoping no one notices, but someone does. Their expression shifts from defensive to patronizing. They say, let's not get emotional, as if you just lost the right to be taken seriously. Or picture an argument with a partner who uses your tears as evidence that you are too sensitive or unreasonable. The discussion stops being about the original issue and becomes about your reaction. The focus shifts from their behavior to your biology. This is how you slowly internalize the belief that your feelings are the problem. You learn to disconnect from your own anger, practicing emotional detachment psychology just to avoid humiliation. You sacrifice your voice to protect your image. That is the real cost of being misunderstood. Not the tears themselves, but what you stop saying because of them. The disturbing truth is that many systems, family, school, work, prefer emotionally flat people. They don't want to confront the moral weight behind your reaction, so they label you dramatic instead of listening to your message. But your tears and anger are often signals of hidden truths, power imbalances, emotional neglect, repeated disrespect. Your biology is reacting to something real. The work is not to erase the reaction, it's to get better at steering it. Turning angry tears into controlled power. Control does not mean never crying again. Control means being able to stay present, stay coherent, and stay self-respecting even if the tears arrive. Imagine an argument where your eyes fill but you don't collapse into shame. Instead of apologizing for your reaction, you name it calmly. I'm angry, and my body reacts like this when something matters to me. I still want to finish what I'm saying. That shift alone is revolutionary. You stop framing your tears as evidence against you and instead make them context, not the headline. There are practical ways to help your system stay steady. Before conflict, you can mentally rehearse what you want to say. not to script yourself, but to give your thinking brain a head start. You can also decide in advance that if your body overheats, you're allowed a short break. Not fleeing, not shutting down, just a reset. In the moment, grounding your attention in something immediate can help pull blood flow back into the logical parts of your brain. Slowly pressing your feet into the floor, feeling your fingertips against your palm, or even silently naming what you can see in the room can disrupt the emotional spiral just enough to speak your next sentence clearly. After conflict, instead of berating yourself for crying, you can review what happened like a scientist, not a judge. Where did you start to feel the heat rise? What was the exact moment the tears came? What was said right before that? This kind of reflection is not self-criticism. It's data gathering. Over time, this becomes one of your high IQ habits, using your reactions as information instead of ammunition. You cannot force your biology into submission, but you can build a partnership with it. You can say, I understand you're trying to protect me. Let's find a way to stay safe without silencing me. That is what real control looks like. Not numbness, but conscious regulation. The question your tears have been asking all along. If you cry when you're angry, you've probably spent years believing you needed to be less sensitive, less reactive, less emotional. But what if your real task isn't to become less, but to become clearer? Your tears arrive when something crosses a line inside you, when you're unheard, when you're disrespected, when your truth is colliding with someone else's comfort. So instead of asking, how do I stop crying? You might try asking, what are my tears trying to say that I haven't found words for yet? Angry tears mean you still care. They mean your moral compass is alive, your nervous system is awake, and your heart refuses to go numb just to fit in. The question now is simple and difficult at the same time. If your body is already fighting this hard to protect you in every conflict, how will you start protecting yourself with your words, your boundaries, and your choices, so that your tears are no longer your only defense, but just one part of a power you finally know how to use?